Hello, how's it going? My name is Martin Casado, and I'm here with Dr. Larry Goodman, having a conversation specifically on clarity of purpose, clarity for more purpose-driven life. How are you today, Dr. Goodman?
I'm terrific.
You're taking off soon to, where are you going?
I'm going up to Victoria, British Columbia to spend some time with Ed Osborne and his inner circle. And Ed is part of Russell Brunson's inner circle. Russell Brunson is the creator of ClickFunnels. And my purpose in going on the trip is to get further clarity on my mission, purpose, and communication, which is why this is the perfect time to talk about clarity.
Nice. I know I was supposed to go, but I had a passport issue. I'm getting it in the mail. It's going to come, and I will be in the next one. So anyway, we'll go back into this. So to kind of spark off our clarity conversation, I found that since you very often mentor me a lot on universal laws, and that's present throughout the book I wrote and our experience together. And I found that this law of clarity described by Brian Tracy, and he says that the law of clarity is leadership success. Clarity accounts for probably 80% of successes and happiness. Lack of clarity is probably more responsible for frustration and underachievement than any other single factor. That's why we say that success is goals and all else is commentary. So what is your accumulative definition or experience definition of clarity?
Well, I'll put it to you this way, first of all, that clarity is very much a moving target, that literally on a daily basis, when I make a goal and a plan for the day, and then at the end of the day, I review the outcomes. The purpose of the review of the outcomes is to take a look to see how the plans and the procedures and things that I did in the day moved me closer to my goal or not closer to my goal. And so those steps are ever getting more and more clarified. And so too is the goal getting clarified, because let's say you make a goal for a 6-month goal, a year goal, a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal. But things are very dynamic. They're always changing. And so what you may have thought you wanted when you wrote a given goal, as you go ahead in the process of working toward it, you may actually discover that the closer you get to the goal, that there were some things about the goal that looked good on paper, or they kind of felt good in your fantasy realm. But as they started to occur to you and you started to live with both the choices required to achieve the goal, as well as the responsibilities that come along with the goal, you gain clarity, which is an ever-refining process. I like to draw the parallel. When you go on a cruise, the captain of the ship has a destination in mind. All through the trip, the captain and the crew are forever making finer distinctions and course corrections, so that from the perspective of you, the traveler on the ship, it looks like it's an amazing thing that you left port, you got on the ship, and you don't even perceive the changes in direction going on, but somehow miraculously, you arrive at the pier at the perfect port of your destination. And that's only being able to be done as the result of the captain and the navigator making ongoingly continual course corrections, because the tides change, the winds change, the weather changes, and you're having to get ever more clarity on what it's going to take to produce the result.
Right. That's a good one. What's the benefit of growing into your own acquired discipline of clarity? Like, do you have any examples or a story that just to give a more definition in your own life? Yeah.
Well, so what most of us wind up living are a life of many seasons, where when you're young, the goals that you think you set really are the goals that you got from mother, father, teacher, preacher, people that you respected and admired. And so you live the first chunk of your life out to achieve the goals that they told you that would make you happy.
Right.
And assuming that you're reasonably successful at achieving those goals, what happens typically is that at some point you reach what has been called many things like the midlife crisis / opportunity. That's typically the time when you've achieved a number of successes and the voice, your inner voice, says something usually like, is that all there is? Or in terms of monetary goals, if that's what you live the importance of, you discover that what you thought you were going to get from having the financial security turns out to be not what you thought it was going to be as to how it was going to affect the rest of your life.
Right.
So what you wind up instead very often with is either now you've achieved this success and there's a sense that, well, now I've got to hold on to my money, or you discover that the methodology that you went through to achieve this success, that kind of work that you did and the sacrifices that you made turn out to not any longer be consistent with what's important to you and your values. And the biggest place that shows up is in the balance between finances and family and relationships. So a lot of the people I'm going to be spending this weekend with, just for example, we're all there and we have we have many things in common, but one of the common threads from the people I've gotten to be on calls with is we've achieved a level of success financially and in business. And the price that's been paid has been in the realm of relationships and family. And so now the next question for the next chapter of life gets to be, can I clarify this in a way? Can I get clarity, to stay to the topic? Can I get clarity on a way to either deal with and achieve? Rarely does anybody say, I'll take less money.
Yeah.
But what we all really wind up wanting is the ability to make the same or more money in less time so that they can have that time to use the money to achieve what they really want to achieve in the realm of their family and relationships.
Right. Well, most of those go into, when you're doing clarity, you always hear establishing goals like Brian Tracy or doing these kind of things. When you're achieving these kind of levels of success, moving up on the ladder per se, make sure it's on the right wall. Yeah. But when you're doing these, how do you, with clarifying your clarity of it, how do you distinguish a goal and having a fantasy one? Like, certain things like I want to go to the moon or go here. How do I clarify that?
That really has to do with being time specific and achievement specific. It would be as if to say, I want to have a nice day. Okay, what would it look like to have a nice day? Well, a nice day. Yeah. Well, could we be more specific? Could we get a little more clear? Well, I'd like to be able to spend some time with my partner. I'd like to have a fulfilling work day. I'd like to be well compensated for that. And maybe even get further clarity on what the financial remuneration would be, what the level of finances would be that would enable you to have the sense of being well compensated. That there are all of these parameters that the more precise and specific you can get with the goal, the more reality-based it becomes, as opposed to being a fantasy.
Right. That makes sense. And where do you begin to take action with yourself toward making a conscious effort of saying, I need clarity in order to do these attainable goals, like differentiating the fantasy ones? That's what I mean. I'm trying to find a distinction between knowing like this is fantasy and this is attainable.
So typically, most real goals start out as some sort of a romantic fantasy. And I don't mean romantic in the relationship realm. I mean a romantic fantasy, like a romanticized idea of what it would be like to be people have a romanticized idea of what it would be like to be Warren Buffett, for example, in the realm of financial success and being a tycoon. So it's like, oh yeah, I'd like to be successful just like Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
But when you start to read the biographies of these high successful people, or you get to spend some time with them and you see what their life is like, then as the fantasy gets to have some more reality to it, it's very much like the bodybuilder that you see on the beach with the six-pack abs and the chiseled features and the bulging biceps and triceps, and the women think, well, that guy really looks great. He looks hot, and the guys kind of generally will have the idea, I could do that. I could get there. And then when you start to find out what it really takes to get there,
what it took, yeah.
Besides the genetic predisposition that may or may not be present, the discipline of the waking up in the morning, the eating the right food, the going to the gym, the all of the bits and pieces that it takes to really achieve the reality-based goal. That becomes the gap between the fantasy and the goal. And what it always boils down to is your willingness to bear the discomfort, to go along and do the things that are necessary to get to the place where you want to get to.
Right. Yeah. Well, that falls in perfectly. And when do we know we're fully into our clarity? Like we're bringing clarity into our goals. We're taking action plans toward them, right? Things are coming into fruition and you're there. Right there in the clarity itself, right? Like 1 to 5 years, I'm saying this is over time. When do we give ourselves that pat on the back of awareness of clarity?
So what I find as a matter of discipline is that between once and twice a year, I sit down and take a look at what my goals were and what's happening so that I get to see what's working and what's not. That's the first way of looking to gain clarity. And then the other way of looking at gaining that clarity is the things that I set out to do, even the ones that I'm being successful at accomplishing. Once you start to achieve them and they come out of the realm of fantasy into reality, you may discover that what seemed like a goal that you wanted, because it seemed like it was aligned with your values, you may periodically reassess that.
Right.
My mentor John DeMartini is a perfect example of this, because when I first started studying with him, there was a period of time in which I fantasized and romanticized what it would be like to be John. And I started modeling his behavior in terms of speaking and traveling and teaching. And what I got to find out was that for me, my family, my home life, my time with my significant other, those things were of a much higher priority to me than they were to him. So to this day, now what he has done is he's managed to now incorporate his family dynamic into his business dynamic so that he now travels fairly regularly with at least one and sometimes two of his daughters. Yeah. So that while he's traveling doing his business, he's managed to link it up so that he's having family time as well.
Right.
And so the clarity, this is the real, I guess if there's a lesson for today, and maybe this is the response to the question you're really asking, is clarity is not a fixed point in time. It is rather a journey more than a destination. You gain clarity, and then you refine your process, then you achieve outcomes, then you get to look again to see, is this reality aligned with the fantasy, and is it still what you want to have the outcome be?
Is that where
because
you is,
change.
is that where you would find within that, that thing where chaos and order, maximum evolution that you say often, is that within that, like that storm or in that chaos, is that where you find your why of clarity?
So a few minutes ago, before we started this video, I had a little bit of chaos in a storm because my wife's priority for me today was taking care of one of my health challenges. My priority for the morning was getting this video done.
Right.
So we had this moment of chaos because she was on the phone with the doctor's office to make me an appointment while I was in the midst of working to prepare to do this video. Now, in the evolution of things, what eventually gets to happen is you either sort it out and assign a greater prioritization to one or the other, or you add more structure so that what I in fact got to say to her, the communication, and this is the place where communication plays itself out in really every area of your life. I got to say to her, can we please handle making this appointment later? Because right now my highest value, my highest priority is to get this video done so this message can get out.
Right.
And so that became a solution. Where people get stuck in chaos is any area of your life that goes too long unattended creates a void. And as John is so eloquent at saying, an area that you perceive to be a great void becomes your next area of greatest perceived value. And this in particular takes place in super achievers in dealing with their personal health and self-care. More often than you can imagine, the wake-up call for people in terms of the need to reassess priorities and values and make clarity comes when they experience a health challenge. And they experience that health challenge usually because they haven't assigned self-care a high priority. They've typically sold that one out for the sake of pursuing business and financial success.
Right, yeah. But that goes probably perfectly into this next one that I wanted to get into a topic within that we've covered mostly the clarity of purpose per se, right? And it's vital for the achievement of success within each of our, I like to say, our 10,000 hours of life equation, right? All of us have our 10,000 hour equation, accumulated to that goal, and between family and friends and social and your physical and so forth, your cumulative effort. So our dreams and our goals must be specific and clear, right? You were explaining earlier about how, I like a perfect day. Well, explain your perfect day. Be very
specific and clear. And the point I want to make is, and that they are always subject to change and revision.
Right. They shouldn't be vague as well. So, I mean,
yes.
And it's fun to daydream about being rich and successful in that whole fantasy of it, but you have to know and define clearly what you want to get or to achieve, right? So even after all that, you have this perfect clarity, but then all of a sudden it doesn't make you happy, right? Because you start finding out that clarity was probably by some celebrity ideal or some Hollywood movie ideas, and none of it makes you happy once you actually get there, meaning even a level of high success, money and so forth. And then that is why, I don't mean money is just the only success, but you got to that level of attainment, the rich and famous, and then you're like miserable. And that's why it's so important to clarify those details of a perfect nice day. I think that perfect nice day, that's how specific you want to be within your success of a millionaire of that perfect day.
Absolutely true. I would say this as maybe a closing thought on the subject with regard to clarity about wealth. Wealth and success ought be spread through all of the 8 areas of life, which is why we crafted the wheel. Because many, many, many times I see clients who have achieved tremendous financial success, who have tremendous voids in their spiritual development, in their relationship development, or as I was saying a few minutes ago, in their personal health and well-being.
Can you name all the 8? Just to clarify, you did about 3 or 4 there.
Spiritual, mental, physical, financial, career, family, social, and recreational. And if anybody wants clarity on those, they can go to the website, www.goodmanfactor.com, and you can get a PDF there, and you can score yourself. And then if you choose to, you can submit the wheel, and we'll get back to you and have a conversation about what's going on in your life and can help you to get more clarity so you can have more joy and satisfaction and have a balanced life.
Right. And I'll put all the information at the end of on the details of the website at the end of this video. So also, yeah, I mean, I think we've painted a cool, interesting picture on clarity and clarity in our own lives. So how else do we, other things you can also go to www.goodmanfactor.com. Is there anything else you'd like to add on your way out?
We'll be doing a regular program. It's called Your Goodest Life. And the whole purpose of the program, it's a 2-day event where we take people through the process of recognizing and identifying and creating a game plan so that you can live your goodest life, not somebody else's, not the goodest life that your mother, father, teacher, preacher suggested to you, but the one that really speaks to you, the one that you really resonate with because you get clarity from the process.
Perfect. And now I'm going to be at www.yourgoodestlife.com. You can also watch some videos related to it, and then actually you can schedule a 30-minute call with Dr. Larry Goodman, and it can go from there. I'll also put, the wheels also at goodmanfactor.com. We also have our book that we wrote here, Fridays with Goodman. That's available on Amazon.com, Fridays with Goodman. You can also check that out. We have also social media. You can find Dr. Larry Goodman on Instagram and on Facebook and all those certain areas for finding the Goodman Factor. So anyways, enjoy your trip over there to Canada. Say hello to all the group there. And we will talk soon. All right, buddy. Thank you. Everybody, have amazing clarity. Take care.